Rumors of George Clooney's divorce have been lighting up Hollywood for months now. Headlines, social media speculation, everywhere. But just when it felt like the story was spiraling out of control, instead, someone who actually knows what's going on, Julia Roberts. She's not just a friend of Clooney. She's been part of his inner circle for over 2 decades. And now she's finally speaking out. But what she said, it's not what the tabloids wanted to hear. So what's really happening behind the scenes of one of Hollywood's most high-profile marriages? Is the so-called trial separation more than just rumor, or could it actually point to something deeper, more modern, and more complicated? Stay with us, because what Julia revealed just might flip the narrative, and it says a lot more about us than it does about them. A friendship under the spotlight. Before we get to what Julia actually said, it's worth understanding just how close she and George really are. Because this isn't just another celebrity giving their 2 cents. Julia Roberts has been a major part of George Clooney's life for over 20 years. Their friendship goes all the way back to the early 2000s when George wanted Julia for his new heist movie, Ocean's 11. From that moment on, the duo seemed destined to dazzle audiences whenever they joined forces. Now, with the swirling talk of George Clooney's divorce from Amal, Roberts' own words carry substantial weight. Their first encounter at the storied Chateau Marmont in West Hollywood has become something of a legend in industry circles. At the time, Clooney sought Roberts for Ocean's 11, 2001, a heist caper film that would become a massive box office success, delighting viewers with its all-star cast. It was then that George Clooney showcased his characteristic sense of humor by mailing Roberts a $20 bill along with the screenplay, an inside joke referencing Roberts' status as a top-earning actress rumored to command $20 million per project. Roberts laughed in interviews years later, describing how Clooney's bold sense of humor cut straight to the heart of the matter. From that point on, they were inseparable, on screen and behind the scenes. Their collaboration proved so successful that they teamed up again for Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, 2002, directed by Clooney, and then for Ocean's 12, 2004. Box office triumph after triumph piled up, and fans quickly noticed a genuine camaraderie. By the time the pair starred in Money Monster, 2016, Clooney joked that their friendship had been woven together by countless pranks, dinners, and behind-the-scenes banter, forming a bond that seemed to defy time or the typical turbulence of Hollywood relationships. In interviews, they confessed their mutual admiration, praising each other's comedic style, generosity, and warmth. Yet, the brilliance of their connection isn't simply about box office figures. It radiates from how they speak about one another's families and celebrate milestones off camera. Roberts has frequently recounted the time she was pregnant with her twins and received extraordinary kindness from Clooney. "She made sure I didn't so much as climb a step unassisted," she once shared, recalling how Clooney, along with other Ocean's 11 castmates, went out of their way to care for her. Likewise, Clooney has described Roberts as an invaluable confidant, someone who can pivot seamlessly from comedic tease to steadfast friend. So yeah, when she speaks about his personal life, people listen. Because this isn't some red carpet soundbite. It's someone who's been in the room, seen the real George Clooney, the husband, the father, the friend. Which brings us to the questions everyone's been asking. If Clooney and Amal truly are parting ways, even temporarily, what does Roberts see behind the scenes? Does she perceive conflict in Clooney's day-to-day life, or has she witnessed a more nuanced reality that the tabloids refuse to print? From the vantage of a friend who openly loves him, Roberts has insisted that there is far more to Clooney's marriage than heartbreak or betrayal. She was there during Clooney's ultimate transformation from self-declared bachelor to devoted husband. And she's been close at hand while Clooney and Amal nurtured their private life away from paparazzi lenses. All of this sets the stage perfectly for understanding why Roberts' perspective matters so much. She has had a front-row seat to Clooney's shifting ideals and personal growth. As one of his closest confidants for decades, Roberts witnessed firsthand the remarkable evolution of Hollywood's most notorious bachelor into something he once swore he'd never become, a man utterly transformed by love and family commitment. Now, with whispers of marital trouble threatening to unravel his hard-won happiness, Roberts' insights into the man behind the headlines become more crucial than ever. George Clooney's journey to love. To understand the significance of these divorce rumors, now brought into sharper focus by Julia Roberts. We must first revisit George Clooney's path to marriage. Before Clooney's late-life transformation into a devoted husband and father, he epitomized the quintessential Hollywood bachelor: red carpets, endless charm, that signature smirk, and a long list of famous flings. For years, his statements about marriage were definitive. He had tried once, and it hadn't worked. That first marriage took place in 1989, when Clooney, then in his late 20s, tied the knot with actress Talia Balsam. The marriage was short-lived. The couple divorced in 1993, and in subsequent interviews, Clooney reflected that he simply wasn't very good at being a husband. The media capitalized on his parade of relationships, ranging from models to waitresses, from Kelly Preston to Stacy Keibler. But Clooney often joked about being a confirmed bachelor, stating in 2014 that his track record dissuaded him from giving marriage another try. For the next 2 decades, he joked about it, played it up in interviews, and told anyone who asked that he just wasn't the husband type. And people believed him. Why wouldn't they? This was the guy who turned bachelorhood into a lifestyle brand. But then Amal. From the moment she stepped into George Clooney's life, the public recognized her as anything but a typical celebrity spouse. Her credentials alone, specializing in international law and human rights, representing high-profile clients like Julian Assange, Yulia Tymoshenko, Mohammed Fahmy, and more, firmly established her as a remarkable figure. Born in Beirut, raised in a family that placed education front and center, Amal emerged as a powerhouse human rights attorney, championing grave injustices worldwide. If the story had ended there, it would have simply been the final flourish in a Hollywood fairy tale. However, Clooney also embarked on fatherhood with the birth of twins Ella and Alexander in 2017, which changed his life forever. George Clooney wasn't the forever bachelor anymore. He was a dad, a husband, a family man. This made his life more challenging. Clooney's storied acting career, frequently accentuated by directing and producing gigs, put him on planes constantly. Amal's responsibilities as an international human rights lawyer demanded her presence in multiple countries: London, The Hague, Washington, D.C., and beyond. Soon enough, Clooney found himself dividing time between film sets, philanthropic endeavors, and Lake Como, where the couple pledged they would reunite after a week away. But as picture-perfect as it looked, real life, of course, was a little messier. Even for 2 wildly successful people, the logistics weren't easy, and that's where the distance started to become a headline. Paparazzi spotted George solo. Amal at conferences without him. Weeks apart turned into speculation. Cue the rumors: trial separation, growing apart, George Clooney back to his old ways. But what those headlines missed was the quiet reality behind all of it. And that's exactly where Julia Roberts comes in. She had a front-row seat to Clooney's transformation. During filming for Ocean's 11, she recognized a man who professed zero interest in marriage. Yet, she later saw Clooney's openness toward Amal. By the time they reunited for projects like Money Monster, and more recently Ticket to Paradise, Roberts also witnessed Clooney juggling fatherhood responsibilities, philanthropic obligations, and advanced film projects. She recognized the signs of both joy and strain. And for many, it is precisely Roberts' vantage that holds the puzzle piece behind the swirling rumors of George Clooney's divorce. Julia Roberts reveals the real reason. As rumors mounted regarding George Clooney's divorce, journalists and fans alike turned to Julia Roberts for answers. If anyone was poised to tell it like it is, it was Roberts, trusted confidant to Clooney, dear friend to Amal, and an A-list actor who rarely minces words. During a press interaction that swiftly became the talk of the industry, Roberts seemed both empathetic and resolute in her defense of the Clooneys. First, Roberts tackled the outlandish allegations that Amal or George had engaged in betrayal. It's impossible that she betrayed him, and vice versa. They are very committed to each other, Roberts declared, responding to a question that implied the rumored divorce sprang from some underlying romantic betrayal. She dismissed the notion as tabloid sensationalism. Instead, she suggested that the couple's choice to remain silent was based on their desire not to be manipulated by headlines. Furthermore, Roberts revealed that the real reason behind the divorce rumors gaining momentum was the couple's separate living arrangements. She framed it as something the Clooneys had already accepted because they refused to let the media dictate their every move. If the world wants to think they're on the edge of divorce, Roberts implied, they'll let them think that. Neither George nor Amal has any interest in perpetually explaining themselves. They'd rather remain focused on their children, their philanthropic missions, and their careers. Crucially, Roberts clarified that the real reason behind what many tabloids labeled George Clooney's divorce is simply the logistics and personal principles that Clooney and Amal share. Both are career-driven individuals who have soared to the top of their respective fields. Acting and directing on George's side, high-stakes legal battles and policy advisory roles for Amal. As global citizens with extraordinary responsibilities, they maintain a house in Lake Como, own properties in the U.S., and occasionally travel to London or New York. Roberts also revealed that neither George nor Amal wanted to fuel gossip by issuing minor clarifications. They realized early on that clarifying small points, like how long Amal might be in Europe for a legal matter or how long George might remain on a film set, would only provoke more speculation. They didn't want to make a habit, Roberts explained, of letting the media define how they live. Thus, in Roberts's account, the rumored trial separation was a practical decision. If Clooney had to direct or star in a stage production for a year in New York while Amal continued vital legal work overseas, so be it. That arrangement did not equate to a breakdown in love or commitment. Rather, it was a testament to a couple unwaveringly supportive of each other's callings, even if it meant living apart for blocks of time. Roberts' statement had a pivotal moment when she highlighted that, from her perspective, the Clooneys maintain a strong foundation of respect, honesty, and mutual admiration far from the meltdown that tabloids breathlessly reported. She saw two individuals forging a path that fits their extraordinary life circumstances. The seeds of tension, distance, conflicting schedules, intense media scrutiny were not allowed to grow into blame and resentment. Instead, Roberts depicted the Clooneys as transforming those seeds into an arrangement that promotes their professional development while preserving the foundation of their union. In doing so, Roberts may well have redefined how the world sees the Clooney household. It's not so much a divorce in the making as it is a unique marital framework that neither partner feels compelled to justify publicly. By affirming how committed the couple were to each other, Roberts effectively dismantled the tabloid's sensational angles. However, the value of her revelation underscores the complexity of modern relationships, especially where massive careers are involved. The pressures of fame and love. Julia Roberts' clarifications on George Clooney's divorce rumors shine a much-needed light on the broader intricacies of any celebrity marriage. When the entire world seems to watch, waiting for a sensational story, no decision is too small or private to escape scrutiny. Clooney, who once used to regale talk show audiences with pranks and humorous anecdotes, now sees his every action dissected. Amal, for her part, navigates a weighty legal sphere typically shielded from paparazzi interest. Yet, as George Clooney's spouse, she faces flashbulbs at every turn too. At the core of it all is the standard marriage tension multiplied by fame. Most ordinary couples can sort out scheduling conflicts without public commentary, but for George and Amal, an innocent 3-week stretch apart can generate global headlines trumpeting marital collapse. Despite George and Amal's determination to avoid escalating speculation, the rumors continue to circulate. It's the nature of contemporary celebrity culture to interpret the lack of an official statement as confirmation of the wildest rumors. Julia Roberts' perspective is helpful here. She has navigated her own share of intense publicity, from her ascendancy as America's sweetheart in the 1990s to her personal relationships that occasionally dominated gossip columns. Her experience dealing with relentless coverage taught her a vital lesson, that responding to every rumor only magnifies it. She admires the Clooneys for not being reactive to tabloids. Indeed, not turning each rumor into a press conference or a social media post might be the healthiest approach for them. That doesn't mitigate the emotional toll that speculation can extract. Clooney himself has stated that he wants to protect his children from the spotlight, mindful that open confrontation with rumor mongers can escalate media interest. Amal likewise champions human rights worldwide, but remains reticent about discussing her family's personal details. As the rumor mill escalates talk of George Clooney's divorce, it ironically contradicts Clooney's own confessions that fatherhood altered his worldview, and that Amal's presence made everything that mattered more significant. The couple's real stance is that fame should never overshadow the fundamental essence of their relationship. For Roberts, the cynicism swirling around Clooney and Amal underscores how fame can recontextualize the benign. If Clooney and Amal lived in everyday anonymity, nobody would question spouses traveling separately for work. Many professionals endure long separations for career advancement. Yet because it's Clooney, and because tabloids have discovered that divorce rumors and cheating allegations sell, what might be normal for other couples is sensationalized for them. Still, Roberts urges fans to see the Clooney's approach as an outgrowth of mutual respect. Clooney does not try to overshadow Amal's professional accomplishments. Amal does not hamper Clooney's creative pursuits. They quietly prioritize each other's well-being. Roberts insists that if the two did not trust or support each other, they would not coordinate so peacefully. The assumption that separate living arrangements automatically mean a breakdown misses the nuance that a healthy marriage can sometimes involve letting each other shine in different realms or locations. This perspective on modern relationships has been particularly evident in how Roberts herself navigates her close friendships with other celebrities, especially her decades-long bond with Clooney, which has weathered Hollywood's tendency to romanticize every male-female friendship into something more complicated than it truly is. Clooney-Roberts chemistry, why they never dated. The friendship between Julia Roberts and George Clooney is so visibly warm on and off camera that many fans have questioned more than once why they never explored romance. From their comedic banter to their easy smiles, they radiate a closeness that often sparks speculation whenever they star together. Yet, the pair have consistently brushed off the notion of any romantic entanglement. Julia was always in a relationship, or I was in a relationship, Clooney told Access Hollywood, emphasizing they became fast friends right away. In some interviews, Roberts and Clooney even joked about the very idea after being called on it numerous times. Clooney teased that maybe they should take this to a different level, prompting a comedic gag from Roberts. Their comedic synergy is evident in films like Ocean's 11, Money Monster, and more recently Ticket to Paradise, where they play bickering exes with a shared comedic flair. But behind the jokes is a genuine respect, one that extends to each other's real-life partners. Roberts is happily married to Danny Moder, while Clooney has built a family with Amal. Nonetheless, over the years, some sensational headlines even implicated Roberts in alleged infidelity, claiming that Amal was furious over their close friendship. Roberts, for her part, found the idea absurd. She clarified that she loves both Clooney and Amal, cherishing their children, calling them family. In reality, the relationship between Roberts and Clooney has never had room for romance because it originated in a professional setting and blossomed into a profound friendship, mutual pranks, jokes, and unwavering emotional support. Clooney was single for segments of that time, but Roberts was not. Likewise, once Clooney wed Amal, the boundaries were crystal clear. Their closeness was no secret. The Clooneys have hosted Roberts at their home in Italy, and Roberts found respite with the Clooneys in Australia while filming Ticket to Paradise, citing how he saved her from complete loneliness and despair. This unwavering loyalty supports Roberts' statements refuting allegations that Amal or George cheated. She insists there is no chance of betrayal on either side. It is a statement that cuts deeper than simply addressing rumors. It testifies to how thoroughly each respects the other's marriage. Clooney's affection for Roberts has never threatened his relationship with Amal. On the contrary, the couple embraced Roberts as Aunt Guju to their twins, forging yet another layer of familial closeness. At times, the press tried to rattle that dynamic, but it never gained traction. Roberts stands as a silent witness, observing how Clooney's sincerity and wholehearted commitment to Amal transcend the usual Hollywood gossip. This is precisely why, when the talk of George Clooney's divorce first made the rounds, fans and media alike turned to Roberts. They trusted she had no incentive to spin the narrative. She is neither Clooney's publicist nor Amal's attorney, just a friend who calls things as she sees them. The significance of their platonic relationship reverberates beyond mere gossip. It highlights how genuine respect, comedic banter, and unwavering camaraderie can exist between a man and a woman in Hollywood without overshadowing personal commitments to their respective spouses. Far from a love triangle, Roberts, Clooney, and Amal exemplify a supportive network that stands against the idea that stardom must yield messy entanglements. Their dynamic offers a refreshing counterpoint to the industry's notorious reputation for relationship turmoil, a reputation built on decades of high-profile romances crumbling under the unforgiving spotlight that follows celebrities' every move. The broader picture, Hollywood relationships. Hollywood history is littered with examples of star couples who stumbled under the weight of relentless schedules and unending paparazzi pursuits. From Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton's fiery union to more modern couples who parted ways citing irreconcilable differences, the entire show business ecosystem can feel tailor-made to strained relationships. Yet George and Amal Clooney, bolstered by Julia Roberts' unwavering endorsements, reveal a different approach. In typical celebrity breakups, the press devour every vague statement for hidden meaning, sensationalizing even the most mundane aspects of a couple's life. However, the Clooneys rarely feed that machinery. They actively sidestep constant clarifications or dramatic social media announcements. Instead, they rely on a small circle of trusted friends who occasionally speak on their behalf. Roberts is undoubtedly among those few, and her voice is distinctly reasoned compared to the tabloid frenzy. The phenomenon extends beyond Clooney. Celebrities like Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, for instance, faced intense public speculation around their breakup, culminating in a high-profile and somewhat acrimonious separation. That saga fed tabloids for years. In contrast, Clooney and Amal's rumored divorce, while widely reported, appears far more subdued, thanks primarily to the dignity they maintain in public. Roberts' revelations serve to highlight that the Clooneys' approach is less Hollywood scandal and more an everyday logistical quandary, albeit at a scale few normal couples experience. Still, the rumor that George Clooney's divorce is imminent persists for one central reason. It sells. Audiences are enthralled by the narrative of a perfect fairy tale union possibly collapsing. The Clooneys' wedding was famously lavish, the photos from Venice enchanting. The arrival of twins Ella and Alexander was viewed by many as Clooney's evolution from perpetual bachelor to doting family man. If that story crashes down, it becomes irresistible for gossip. But as Roberts emphasizes, the truth is more about two partners who remain deeply aligned, even when physically apart. The direct effect on the Clooneys is that they now must navigate an environment where private time rarely stays private. Their philanthropic work together through the Clooney Foundation for Justice could become overshadowed by scandalous misrepresentations. Amal's impressive accomplishments could be overshadowed by false news stories about her marriage, which could take attention away from her important legal cases. The latest crisis story could also cast a shadow over Clooney's next big movie or project as a director. By not indulging in these stories, the Clooneys uphold a measure of control over their image. Among Hollywood couples, such self-possession is not unheard of, but it is certainly rare. Some, like Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson or Denzel and Pauletta Washington, have also adopted private, stable approaches to marriage. But Clooney, once touted as the ultimate bachelor, facing rumors of divorce, ironically underscores the unpredictability of tabloid coverage. In the end, Julia Roberts' revelation about George Clooney's divorce rumors encourages all of us to consider a more nuanced view of celebrity relationships. And if Roberts insists there is no betrayal, only mutual respect, who are we to doubt Aunt Gucci? So what would you do in George Clooney's shoes? Would you quietly protect what you hold dear or broadcast every decision for public approval? Let us know, comment, subscribe, and see you in the next big Hollywood deep dive.